Hello and welcome back to Tits, Tums and All Things Mum. I'm here with the lovely Emma Nicolet. Not Nicolet, it's Nicolet.
Spent about 10 minutes trying to work out how to say my own name. There's a backstory, there's everything, but none of that matters.
Emma Nicolet.
You're really spoiling her.
How are you, Emma?
All right, better than you.
I know.
Better than you.
I know, your voice note made me...
all kinds of shit.
Your voice note made me die earlier. Like, how are you feeling? Do you still feel like a big old donkey dick? Yes, I do. I still feel like a big donkey dick, yeah.
I feel bad for the donkeys, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not fair, is it? Like,
I know. But yes.
Your piece being referred to as like feeling like shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they will be really proud of their donkey dick.
I know, they must be proud. I'm not feeling proud of feeling like a donkey dick though. It's been 3 weeks now and I still feel like shit. But it's okay. We move, we carry on. It's Easter holidays now.
That's all we do.
I know, right? I know, but Easter holidays now, and I've got to try and survive through that with also having the lurg, so that's going to be fun.
Listen, darling, we are like something living that bleeds for 5 days and still survives. Every month. So
yeah,
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I will.
That's the thing. We are incredible.
We are indeed. Like, you literally pop a human out and you've just got to crack on and carry on with life and also look after
do you know
a
what?
human.
It's so different, isn't it? Because back in my mum's time, they'd give birth and then 10 days in the hospital with somebody taking the baby away so you could sleep, teaching you how to breastfeed.
Yeah.
Now it's like TikTok, someone needs the bed, which I get, because there's a lot more people in the country, but. Oh my God! Like, when she told me that, I was like, "Are you serious?" I think my dad even bought her a spliff into the hospital. Yeah,
that's
I couldn't believe when she told me. She went, "Yeah, I was what people smoking in hospital, still like that in Italy." Funnily enough, my daughter, and she's got the same as I used to get tonsillitis all the time as a kid. She was getting it all the time as well until we got her tonsils out. We went to Italy. Of course, she got it when we were on holiday. We went to the Italian doctor. We walked in. She's like. Bene. Walk in, she's got like a pack of Marlboro Red on her desk, ashtray, just stubbing one out as she grabs my small child's beautiful little face and Bella. I'm like, I kind of like it here.
I know. It's wild, isn't it though? You could literally have a major abdominal surgery and then you're like, all right then love, off you pop. Off you go to care for a human being when you've got this wound the size of a dinner plate, but
Yeah, and do you know what else I heard as well? When you're in Italy's got it all right. Italy, apparently, I heard that if you tell them when you're giving birth that it's your last one, or if it is your last one, they throw in a free tummy tuck.
Oh, the dream!
Yeah.
The dream!
I know.
I've been looking up spending like 20 grand on a tummy tuck and a boob job, so maybe I just need to pop another baby out.
Book a holiday around your due date and hope for the best.
Oh, amazing. I love that. Anyway, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
This is the worst thing.
Why do people hate this question? I do not understand.
You know what? It's not so much that. You see yourself as privileged, my friend, because I don't do podcasts. Oh. Very rarely. I get asked a lot to do podcasts, and I don't do them because I guess my enjoyment and my pleasure comes from interviewing other people. And I've learned over the years, with presenting, I've trained myself not to make it about me. Do you know what I mean? Because they're the best presenters that I know. They shine a spotlight on the guests that they're with. And I don't know, and I think also that combination with me kind of not working in media for so long and just talking to my phone and becoming probably quite insular as a person, almost reclusive, one might think sometimes. But because of that, I just hate talking about myself because I just think I've got really nothing of any interest to give that somebody else couldn't and do better.
Oh, come on.
And also, no. Also, I mean, everyone gets imposter syndrome. But the other thing that happens is that my entire education, vocabulary, and ability to string together a sentence with, grown-up words seems to evaporate the minute I have to come on something like this. So that's why don't tend to say yes, but A, I love you, and B,
love you too.
I got to meet you in person, and that made me feel a little bit more comfortable, which I think actually it's going. I think it's going quite well. Obviously.
Yeah, it is going well.
You know what I mean?
And can I just say, we were very pissed when we met as well, so that probably helped.
I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking.
I was very pissed.
How were you? I just remember telling you what fantastic jugs you had.
Yeah, we were comparing jugs, weren't we? you were like almost showing me your entire jugs.
With that suit top. And the only thing that I had to remember was tit tape, and I forgot it.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can't have a drink, because otherwise, the old spaniel's ear is going to flop out. And however, had I had jugs like yours, I wouldn't have bothered with tit tape, and I would have been literally laying them on everyone's table going, all right, check out these bad boys.
Did you manage to keep your tits in your suit for the whole night?
I did.
Good job.
I'm aware of, because I was very well behaved. I was very well behaved, actually, because I had Molly with me, my 11-year-old.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess having your daughter with you kind of keeps you, a bit well behaved, whereas I went a little bit too far the other way.
She's seen me in far worse states. I mean, there's been numerous times where we all just strip naked and dance around the kitchen, generally on a Friday night, because Mummy's been on the old mummy petrol, the prosecco. Daddy's cracked open a Corona, and it's lockdown was there was quite a lot of those nights.
That sounds like the best Friday night. I love it. Can I come round your house?
Yeah, with those jugs anytime.
I can't promise they'll stay put though.
Johnny will be so disappointed. Right, I go back to your original question, which I've been rather cleverly avoiding. What do you want to know?
Everything about you, about your life, what you do, what makes you tick, all the stuff.
Don't get me started. It'll turn into a therapy session. You don't want that. Nobody wants to.
That's fine. That's what this podcast's all about.
Right, okay. So, I guess probably my earliest childhood memory. No, I actually don't have very many childhood memories at all, really. Just feelings and pictures that remind me of times that I think are memories. Anyone else do that? Like,
I don't have any
memory,
either.
then you go, oh no, it's just a picture that I've seen.
Yeah.
But my earliest memories were having a very happy childhood, living out in the countryside. Mum and Dad, had done quite well. They built. My mum had come from quite a good background. My dad worked his way up. He was originally Ladbroke Grove, kind of young lad, who knocked about on the streets, avoided getting blown up by bombs. So many. I mean, he's got 9 lives. That man, it's crazy how many things have happened to him. You just think, how is he still alive? He and my mum were an amazing, formidable business team. So created a really wonderful life for us in respect of what we were able to get materialistically. On one side, we have a really lovely home, got to go, do riding lessons every weekend, and got to go to a nice school and have nice holidays, and had, I'd say quite privileged upbringing. And my dad was very prolific in my upbringing. He was I'd probably say he was the default parent, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Because within this wonderful business partnership that they had, which in the end is a detriment to their marriage, as it is for a lot of people who go into business with their partner, I've learned over time, that it meant that he was the gift of the gab, and she was on the books, she was great with numbers. My dad was... I'm about to say my dad was autistic. My dad wasn't autistic. I'm going to get that right. My dad had severe dyslexia, and so he still does, obviously. So he struggled with all that kind of thing, but he knew how to make the numbers add up, and he knew people. He was good with people. So that team was wonderful. It meant my mum spent a lot of time in the office, and my dad was the one who was there for the pickups, the drop-offs, taking me to ballet after school, and then at the weekends on Saturdays. My mum, like so many of us mums, she was knackered. I get that now, whereas my dad was up for going. He'd go clay pigeon shooting. I told you we had a privileged upbringing. He'd go clay pigeon shooting, rah, rah, rah. He would take me to the stables. I'd go and do that, and we'd go and get food together. And so that, that was my memories of my kind of childhood. My dad being quite a key person and a lot of fun, which I think because he didn't carry all the responsibility that my mum did. He got to do the fun stuff, you know. And my mum, it was hard. I get it so much more now I'm older. Yeah. Like it's, you know, she was exhausted because of the mental load. You know, nobody spoke about that back then. But yeah, so then when I was 8, nearly 9, I went to boarding school. And they emigrated. Business wasn't going so great. They had a place in Tenerife, which, you know, a little fishing village, which obviously over the years grew into like quite a party place, but at the time it was quite low key. And I stayed in the UK because the education system there wasn't on par with here in the UK. So they were like, right, okay, boarding school wise, where we're going to put her? And they thought, oh, she loves to sing and dance, let's put her in a stage school. So I went in one of those, youngest they'd ever taken. So I went in 8, nearly 9, but the age that they took kids was like secondary. So I had to stay in the same year for 3 years. So that had a big impact on me, being away from my folks and not feeling like I had a base, because I was flying back and forth only in the big holidays. So I'd only really see them, you know, Easter, summer, Christmas. And then at weekends I go and either stay with friends or I had a big sister that I went to stay with. So it was a funny time, and it was it's definitely moulded me into the mum that I am today, because like I take such joy from little things that I didn't have as a child, particularly around the age that kids are now. It really kind of hit home when Molly, my eldest, I didn't even realise it was happening, but I kind of imploded around the same time, because she hit the age I was when I went to boarding school, and it brought up so much emotion in me. And it was around the time that I was leaving my job on the radio, which I'd gone into in later life, and I kind of it all really imploded, and I had to have counselling with my mum to kind of work through it, because of all these. There's clearly a lot of abandonment issues and stuff like that, but what it has done is made me really appreciate things that I didn't have, like little glimmers, as I call them, these kind of micro moments of happiness. Where, for example, the other night I had one, just Molly doing her homework at the table in the kitchen while I cooked. That never happened. Like I couldn't even call my parents, because at the time, and you won't remember this because I've ascertained you are much younger than me, phone cards were the thing. So if you wanted to phone home, which you got the allowance to do every couple of weeks, there was a rota, and you'd be able to use payphone. But the payphone used these cards called phone cards. They would be like in units, and at the time you'd put them in, and you get 10 unit, 20 unit, and that would generally be 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But because my parents lived abroad, they were like seconds. So they would go up, they go really fast. Calling abroad, obviously, much more expensive. So they just said, you need to stop buying these phone cards, putting them on the school bill, because it's already like killing us, these school fees. And you're just like, so then I couldn't call them. I luckily had my sister that I could call, but I didn't have that, it made this relationship, particularly between me and my mum, even more segregated. It drove us even further apart, I think, because I didn't want that, and she didn't want that, but it's what happens. We live and we learn, But it did mean that little things like being here for when the kids have a nightmare and they want to, and they wake up, and I think it brings it up in me again. I think to myself, what did I do? Like, I've blacked it all out now, but what did I do? When I had a nightmare and I was in a dorm with like 8 other girls. Like, so little. When I look at them now, I'm like, so little. Like, and cooking with them, I was just I'm still a shit cook, but like I just had no idea how to cook, because I just wasn't hands on. I didn't get the chance to do that with my folks or my mum, and now I try and do that with the kids more. And it's so people will, and I never take it, but a lot of people will say, you're a really great mum. But if I hadn't had that upbringing, I might not have been the mum that I am. I just do it because it feeds my happy, and it's me wanting to give them what I I wanted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of, you know, a bit of background on my parenting. But yeah, I went into, after going to stage school, boarding school, stayed until I was 18. Went on to drama school, because what else do you do, really, when you've done that? You're not particularly academic. They've pushed you towards all jazz hand shit. So that was, you know, I don't think I even really wanted to do it that much. It was just, that's what I was doing. And then after drama school, I spent most of drama school stoned. I don't remember trying much, and just kind of like, my focus was all on friendships, because I didn't have any strong friendships because of being back and forth again between two countries. I couldn't meet up in the holidays like friends do. You know, I remember they used to talk about going to Trocadero in central London. I was like,
I used to love the Trocadero.
You remember Trocadero?
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
With was it, the Pepsi Max drop, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and I used to hear about this and be like, that's awesome. And then I'd kind of have these mates that went to the English schools in Tenerife. Yeah. But they you know, those relationships were hard to maintain because I would only see them in the holidays, and they kind of, you know, there's so much would have happened in between. So I just found my focus was always on friendships, getting a base, roots, and, you know, I then kind of quite quickly at drama school got into a relationship with someone who I'd started just before drama school. Because the reason I was stoned all the time, because he was a big stoner. And that was like, probably, that was 10 years I was with him, 10 years. And that's it. So I haven't had a lot of relationships. I didn't want them. I just wanted that one. And it kind of came with the whole package. Yeah. Like the family and the friendship group, and it was all that kind of thing. And while I was with him, I met a very good friend of mine who is still one of my best friends and the kids' godfather. And we met on, I was doing like some extra work. As a lot of people do when they leave drama school. So I was doing music videos and things like that, still pretending that I was, you know, doing something in the arts, but actually just, you know, not doing anything, just sitting at home getting stoned. So then I went and did some of these auditions, and occasionally I get them. My sister at the time, I got a bit older, and she was modelling. And they would call up often, and they'd say, "Oh, they've got this job from the same agency." And I'd be like, "Oh, brilliant!" And then they go, "Oh no, sorry, wrong sister." So then we got we want the model. And I'd be like, "Okay, cool." And I obviously, as I was smoking quite a lot at the time, I was eating quite a lot because the two go hand in hand. So I was, you know, not getting smaller. Let's put it that way. And then I remember this one time I got a call, and they'd said, "Oh, right, so yeah, we've got this job." And I was like, "Great." And they were like, "It's the ident for the opening of a show on ITV." And I was like, "Cool, this is cool." And they were like, "Yeah, it's just going to be you and this one guy. And you like, basically, you just have to stand on this plinth and just wear a black bikini." And I was like, "Yeah, you've got the wrong sister again." And they were like, No. It's for a plastic surgery gone wrong show. So they want normal bodies. And I was like, "Okay, cool." I was desperate for work. And I was like, took it, and this is where I met this friend, and we ended up like starting a little band together that, you know, that we just did in a studio with some friends. And he then started working at this TV studio. Said to me, at the time I was PA for a fashion designer. And he was like, "What are you doing? You should be doing this. The girls here, it's really easy. Like, you just literally stand in front of a camera." And it was back in the day when there was something called the Mint. It was before the Mint. It's where the Mint got their idea from, which was basically really easy puzzles where you had to guess what was, you know, who was behind the kind of tiles. And it was really obvious. It would be someone really obvious. They would show most of the face. But the whole idea was you were calling in a premium line and spending like £2 to go, "I think it's, you know, Sylvester Stallone. Obviously it's Sylvester Stallone." And they're just taking all this money, you know, and then they pick one person randomly to win it, but they keep it going. And, you know, my job as the presenter was to be like, "Who do you think it is? Come on, we'll give you a bit of a clue here." You know, not many people calling in. So you were sales, basically. It was like sales, but it's called call to action TV. Interactive TV is a time where you could interact, send messages into the TV presenter. Yeah. and this was up in, you know, the 900s on Sky and on cable and stuff like that. It wasn't like good TV. But anyway, he was like, they pay really well and you could do this. What are you doing? Like working in fashion design. I was like, yeah, what am I doing? Anyway, I started doing both, and then I seemed to be quite good at it. So they were like, can you do more shifts? So I'd finish at the designers, fashion designers, and then I would go onto the studio and I work until late, like till 10, drive home, and then do the same thing. And that started happening more and more, and just then they said, can you start to do more day shifts? And so it just segued into that full time. So I was there for quite a few years, which is where I met Johnny, current husband. And again, probably didn't take the job very seriously, if I'm honest, just because I was just having fun and making friends, and it was this really cool place where everyone was really young because they took advantage of inexperienced people. They didn't need a lot of talent to be doing what they were doing. They just behind the scenes, on the cameras, moderating, all of it. They didn't need. They knew that they could pay these people peanuts, and that they were desperate for work. So to get into media and stuff like that. So what you ended up with this kind of university vibe there. Everyone was kind of partying together, and it was incredible. Johnny rocked up, and he was just like this posh lad who'd, you know, as time went on, it became clear had come from a very similar background to me, and his parents had split up like mine had by this point, and around the same age, and it was really interesting. But by that point, I was really anti any public school kids and all that kind of thing, and I was just like, so stuck up, and all the ones I'd met, I was like, these aren't my people at all, you know, they're not grounded or down to earth, they can't relate, they're entitled, wankers. And then this guy walked in, and you know, he wasn't any of those things, and but I kind of, having been in this 10-year relationship by that point, just didn't have much self-worth. Weirdly, you know, at work I knew I was doing well, but the relationship had turned quite toxic, and so at that point I was like, no one wants to take this shit on. Like this I'm the problem. I'm the problem here. I'm the problem. But I wasn't happy. That was the reality, and I'd grown, so I'd become in this lovely environment that I, you know, had for 10 years. I'd stepped outside of that kind of fishbowl and got into a kind of fish pond, and so I was kind of feeling I'd outgrown the bowl. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the best way to describe it, and that didn't make the fish in the bowl any, you know, like they hadn't done anything wrong. I just wasn't, and I was fighting that, wanting to stay in this safe spot with all my little goldfish friends, when actually there was like, you know, the carp were all there waiting. So I was like, I don't know why I'm speaking in fish terms, but I am. But yeah, random. Anyway, I hate fish. But yeah, so Johnny and I ended up going together, and I left that job because I wasn't taking it seriously. I was just focusing on going on holiday with Johnny and having the best time ever. And then I went back, was working kind of behind the scenes, kind of at the agency they had there, and then got pregnant. First baby, super excited, got terrible SPD, you know, where your pelvis the hormones come in early and it starts to separate. I think it's relaxing, if I remember rightly. Yeah. Comes in, and basically my hips were just kind of floating around and not steady, and so I had to get crutches, and it felt like I'd been kicked in the fanny. It was the weirdest thing. So that was that. I started working from home, and then anyway, ended up leaving the job when I obviously had Molly, and then that was kind of me. And then I started doing. As she got a little bit older, I started doing children's parties, which I loved because I love kids. Annoyingly, they were all at weekends. When I was younger, you do something after school, and that was it. And then obviously social media meant it all became much bigger, and so I was doing these. I started doing kind of Elsa, and I'd be like these characters, and using my experience from theatre school, you know, to do all the singing, but I loved it. I genuinely loved it. I still love it. I'm the person that volunteers to be there at the school discos or go on the school trips, because I just think kids are just magic. I just love, and I like creating something that makes their eyes wider. Do you know what I mean? I just love it. I love it. I just like how it made me feel as a kid, so I like to do the same. Get pure joy out of that. And I think it's lovely as well to go on school trips, to be that fly on the wall, because you don't know how they act, the dynamic, you know, when you're at home. But that's just such a lovely opportunity, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's so anyway, that was all happening, and I was doing kids' parties, and that was all good, and doing those really cool bespoke ones for like big clients. And then I got this call from my friend who I'd worked at the kind of TV station with, and she said, listen, by this point she'd left, she'd started her own agency, and she was like, listen, I had this brief come in from Global. Now Global are the company who own all the like big commercial radio stations, like Capital, Gold, and Magic. No, they don't know Magic's where it's from. Heart, obviously, and that was what she'd had a brief for. She said they're saying that they want a new presenter for this Heart breakfast show, and I've got no one on my books, and it's just singing you to me. It's just you all over, and I was like, really? I haven't got a show reel. I haven't got CV. I've got nothing. I'm not, got a voice from, nothing to show, like to go, should we just go meet, the head honcho, have a chat? So I did, and he liked me, and he was like, right, here's what we've got. So there's one in Kent, there's one in Suffolk, there's all this kind of thing, and I was thinking, God, that's uprooting the whole family, and how's that going to work? And then I went to do a pilot with the one in Kent, because I thought that's the closest. Well, let's just get in there first. This is a huge opportunity. I was in my 30s, and I thought to myself, I'd never get on a national radio station in my 30s. That's just crazy. And then I tried out. Those ones didn't work out, but they would keep me on their books, and they would call me and say, kind of, we've got this one going in this area, are you available? Anyway, I got this call about the one that I ended up getting, the job I ended up getting, and at the time I was pregnant, and I was like, oh, okay, when does the job start? And they were like, right, it's January. And I was like, okay, 6 months after having the baby, I mean, I could, this is too good an opportunity. Like, let's just start piloting. Let me at least give it a go. But I didn't tell them I was pregnant. And the reason I didn't tell them I was pregnant was because when I'd gone to the Kent one, it was for maternity cover. And when I said to them, well, if I uproot the family and we move to Kent, and what happens when she comes back from maternity cover? And they were like, people don't really come back from maternity cover in this business, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I was like, I think I do, and I don't like it. That's not cool, So I thought, well, I'm not going to say I'm pregnant, because I thought that might be how they feel across the board, across all of these stations, because it's not just the London one or the one in your area you hear. They have them dotted all around, or they did have them dotted all around the country. Anyway, I rocked up pretty pregnant, to say the least, and I thought, well, if I do that, I can't go, no. And actually, the process was so long because they chopped and changed I won't go into too much detail on it, but it didn't end up, the person who's leaving decided to stay a bit longer, and then the other person decided to leave, so they needed to find a replacement for them, and then they were testing girls to go with the person to represent the guy, and there was a lot more nuance to the situation. And then I got it, but it was like a 2-year process. So by this point, Barley was kind of like, she'd been born, she was coming close to 2, after all the guilt that came with putting her into nursery at a young age. That was pretty hardcore. But I took it because what an opportunity. But it had a massive impact on family life, because I'm getting up at 4 to then drive, an hour or so to the job. Then it would take an hour and a half to get back. You'd have lots of filming. I would take her out of nursery because I didn't want to have her in there all day because I felt so guilty. So I'd take her out as soon as I got back. There was no time for me to kind of just decompress at all. And then it would, Johnny had to carry a lot more of the load. And, he'd have to do on top of his job, which was still in infancy, starting a new company, be doing the hair, in the mornings for them, bless him, and he'd be doing dinner, putting to bed, and because I'd, be so tired by that point, I used to go to bed. So we were passing ships in the night. I didn't feel like I was looking after the children in the way that had always fed my soul. Do you know what I mean? The way, like I said earlier, this made me happy that I wanted, and all of a sudden I was thinking, again, they're going to feel like I did. Yeah. They're going to end up with a mum that wasn't present. And that was my biggest fear. And actually, the problem was solved for me because there was a change in the most kind of layman's terms, basically there was the change in the radio rules, and it meant that they didn't have to have all of these stations dotted around. That the local radio stations, they could actually split the country into 4 and have less hours. So about 500 of us got told via Zoom, having been told for months it wasn't going to happen, got told via Zoom that actually we were losing our jobs. Signed a non-disclosure agreement, could talk about it, and literally were off. I think it was during Easter break, actually. They literally said you can say the day before, 2 days before, let them know you're going. Which was, there was uproar, because people obviously, you're used to your regular local radio and those presenters. And I remember there's a lovely mum who I still speak to on Instagram, but for a couple of years after, I would certainly for the first few months, I would leave voice notes for her daughter who was autistic, and part of the routine of her getting into the car to get her to go to school and to get her was to say, we're going to listen to Emma and Ivan on the radio. So, and they would get in a certain time. So after I left, just to help her out, I'm not trying to sound all worthy here, but just to show the impact of stuff like that. That she, I would leave voice notes for morning, I'm having a great day today, this is what you should be listening to, this is going to put a real spring in your step, that kind of thing. Just, to help that mum out. But it really was, it was mad, because for me, I had to, I didn't think I mattered. I mean, I spent most of the time that I was there with imposter syndrome. I just started to think I was good. It was it was crazy to see the impact we'd had. People starting petitions, people loved us. So we finished that, and it was lovely in a sense, because I got there this wonderful summer with the kids and regrouping and just being super present. Started a podcast just to kind of keep our vibe going, me and my co-presenter, to use as a kind of CV, if you want, an audio CV, so if people wanted to pick us up. But then COVID hit, and so nobody was employing. There was hundreds of people who'd lost their jobs also looking for work. I couldn't even get an agent, and I was just like, shit, this is mad. I thought, having been on a national radio station, someone would at least want to represent me. But people, no, we're not taking anyone on. And I was like, oh my God, I've had this bite of the apple and it's gone. And I've just started to believe in myself. And then I'm battling also with that. You want to be with the kids, so how do you make that work? And then I looked at how the landscape had changed and how they were, you watch what you want on demand. And people were doing the same with their music. They were listening. So commercial radio stations who needed listeners to hear the adverts that was keeping them afloat. What they realised was, we need presenters who bring an audience. So, and I could see this was happening because they would be bringing on reality TV stars or bloggers or Instagram influencers. And so I'd always had an Instagram. I started using it kind of like we all did, tentatively, and I'd post things, but it was a personal scrapbook, really. And I certainly didn't use it at a time where, to promote myself, I always felt a little bit like I was rubbing it in people's faces, that look at me, look at me, I'm in the radio, look at it. I didn't like to do that. And I guess that was me projecting, because I was thinking, when I wasn't working and I was looking at people doing that, it did make me feel good, but that was a me problem, that wasn't a them problem. But it would be in the same way that I still, despite how many followers I've got, will try and answer every single DM that comes in. And that can be hundreds of DMs in a day, particularly because I'm a storier, so people feel they have a very intimate relationship with me, and I'm very accessible to my detriment, that I've realised over time. But because I know when I was following someone and supporting them and buying things that they recommended, and they didn't even respond to a message from me, kind of going, that's amazing. I feel the same. I felt a bit pissed off. Yeah, it pisses
me off when people don't reply. I'm like, I reply to every damn DM.
And I don't understand. And I've spoken to some of my friends who've got a lot bigger, and they say it's just not possible. But even at my stage, they weren't answering, and I'm like, what? How? It pisses me off, because I feel like, well, why? You just expect people to buy these things that you're advertising. But why should they? What, why? You don't give anything back. It's just a like or a message or something, But I also see from their perspective as well, it's hard to do that when you've got like 500,000 followers. You can't stay on top of it. But who do you pick and choose? No one's more special. But I've built up a lovely relationship, and there's been people that have been with me since Heart, and I just turned it up a little bit. I just also at the same time was feeling like it was nice to have a presenting outlet. So therefore the stories came at a time, storying on Instagram came at a really great time for me, because I didn't have that outlet, that presenting, which I enjoyed, that entertaining people that I enjoyed. And so I was doing that a lot, and it just started building organically.
Your stories crack me up. I love that. Your stories crack me up. They're so funny. I just know when there's your little red circle, I'm like, I just know there's going to be something great there. I just know it.
Oh, I love you for that. Thanks. I don't think that. And Johnny, my husband, doesn't think that at all. He's just like, why do you talk so much? But he's right actually. When he said to me, why don't you put more stuff on your grid and less stuff on your stories, and then your account will grow faster, and he's right, because stories can't be shared, and and equally getting that balance between not trying to create clickbait and keeping it real and genuine and providing for your followers what they like to see. I'm still trying to get used to that and be good at it, because I don't really like editing, and once I've done something, it feels weird to post it. It doesn't feel natural. Because I'm a presenter. Obviously, that's what I do. So you're
better off in your stories, I suppose.
Say that again.
So you're better off in your stories, I suppose, because it's more like in the moment rather than posting a few hours after you've done something.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't feel real. It feels inauthentic to me sometimes. A lot of the time. But it certainly was something I didn't go into with a mind to be a Instagram influencer, should I say. It was all about, I wasn't looking to make money from Instagram. I was looking to get back into radio through Instagram. And it was only when my friend, who was the one that had originally got me the job opportunity at Heart, said to me, what are your clicks like? And I was like, what's a click? What is a click? I have no idea what she's talking about. I had no idea. So she said, okay, well, what's something you've spoken about? And I said, I'm speaking about this new deodorant I found, which I absolutely love, this wild natural deodorant. And she goes, did you tag them in it? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, well, can I have a look at that? And I was not, I must have been under 10,000 at this point. And she looked, and there was 800 people had clicked on the brand. I don't think I've ever had that much since actually starting to do this as a job, but I think that's the beauty of kind of when you're not trying to do it for that people are a bit more trusting, aren't they? And it was coming from a very honest place. I found something that had changed my life, and I wanted to share it with the few, that 100 people that were following me at the time. So that was a bit of a turning point. She was like, you should be working with brands, and next time you should approach Wild and say to them, would you like to do a paid campaign? So I think I did for a couple of £100, and then I didn't do that much. I didn't really get contacted much, and then Mum and Mike, Jane, I met with her, and we built this friendship. She was amazing, and she was smaller than me at that time, but she started this campaign let's get Emma to 10k, which was incredible. And we met, and we got on really well, and then there was a group that kind of formed with her and Kelly, who's Kids in the Commute, who's I don't know if you've met Kelly, but she's absolutely adorable.
She was meant to be coming on the podcast, actually coming to the studio, but we had to cancel. Yeah, but she's rebooked, so I can't wait. Can't wait to meet her in real life. The
warmth, you'll feel that she just emanates it, and she's super smart. She was running teams at the BBC. She knows. She's always on top of everything. She's your go-to. She's the mum of the group. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, what does this mean? And she just knows everything. She's amazing. She's like the oracle. And she and Jane were like, listen, with these kind of the followers you've got and the kind of click-throughs you should get, you should be represented. You should get an agent. And I just was thinking I couldn't even get an agent after I've been on national radio. What the top chance have I got with this? But they put me in touch with their agent, and from there it's I've been getting a decent amount of work, enough to, to kind of to tide me over, and it's been good. It's been good, and it's a funny old job. I don't know how you find it, Lottie, but it's a for someone who doesn't like talking about themselves, I've done pretty well, haven't I?
You've done brilliantly. But it's an interesting thing to do as a job when you are a mum, because you're kind of sharing the most intimate parts of your life, the things that you struggle with the most, like the deepest, darkest challenges that you're going through, you're putting them out there for everyone to see. But in turn, you're creating this amazing community of people who are feeling exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and what's really nice, off the back of that, and this is what we'd call in the business a segue, nice little link, is that hello Johnny, all right. Is that we Cat Sims, Not So Smug Now, had a podcast called You're Never the Only One.
Yeah.
And she messaged me around Christmas. She said, I'm doing season 2. I hate doing it on my own. I want a co-presenter. And I suddenly realised you're like the perfect person for this, and you're the opposite to me when it comes to kind of how I talk about my kids, and you're this and you're that. And I was like, wow, immediately went, I can't do it. She's super smart, she's super intelligent, I'm going to be so intimidated by her linguistic prowess. But actually we did a pilot and it was banging. Hi Johnny. I am.
Hi Johnny.
Well, because we're recording it and you're on camera as well. Be discreet. Yeah, really discreet. So that it went so well, and so that's got great backing as well. The podcast I've done in the past, that's just been something I've had to back myself, but this has got financial backing from an agency, so I'm really excited about that, because that, for me, is going to feel like proper presenting again. Yeah,
we've spoken about getting Cat
paid
here.
For it. It just, the whole setup and going to a studio, I'm really excited about it, and it's going to be nice to step out of the, this little nucleus that I've created, and go to London and go to a proper studio and just I feel like I'm doing a job, because it doesn't. The lines are blurred with this, particularly. I often think to myself, like, if I was selling something, if I had like a product, I would be so much more inspired to create with post content, and then my stories could still be kind of everyday stuff. Yeah. But there's something that happens, there's a change that happens, that when this becomes a job, where you start seeing everything in content, and you stop. I personally have to take myself out of it sometimes and come off here, despite the punishment that you get from the algorithm and how hard you have to work to get your views back up on your stories, because that does matter for anyone listening. That does matter if you are using this to earn money, because a brand, if they want to work with you, they go and check out online what your engagement's like. So that's how many people interact with you, how you interact, what your last post was. If it's non-existent because you've been on holiday for a week, they're not going to pick up you. They're not going to pick you up, should I say, to use on their next campaign. And I haven't got enough followers to pick and choose. So it's a funny space to be, but it does scare me sometimes how I feel like sometimes I'm a voyeur of my own life, because I don't want to keep picking up my camera to catch something, because I think, followers would love that. Sometimes I just want to enjoy the moment, and actually the best thing about that is the kids. Because the kids are now, because I've told them that, and I've also said to them, you can tell me if you don't want me to film, and I will ask permission as well. And
God, I have to stop my daughter from being filmed. She's like, when I grow up, I want to be an influencer. And I'm like, oh my God.
I'm like, it's the last thing you want to be, trust me. That's what I say. And listen, I love the privileges it gives me, things I get to do with them. The ability that they can drop them off at school, I can pick them up, I can go and do the school trips. There's not another job I could do that with, I can think of. And I certainly, there's lots of business ideas I have all the time and start websites up for, but I never do them because the idea of being my own boss terrifies me because I'm just shit at it. I know I am. Mm-hmm. But this, it's quite, it's not intrusive because, it's all on my terms, but it does feel a little bit like, it's good. I like the fact they'll go, can we just have this for us?
Yeah.
Which keeps me in check.
Yeah.
But also, I'm at a bit of a turning point with it actually as we speak, because I'm trying to find a way to balance that.
Yeah.
It's a toughie. It's mad how you just see things in content.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You're not really in the moment of being present.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very fickle as well, Instagram, I feel. Like, it's a very weird place to be as a parent. But, we do our best so that we are able to be present. And that's why we're doing what we do, so that we can be present. Although sometimes I am like, get me to fucking work because I need to be away from these kids.
Yeah, I get that. I can totally get that. And I love that. I mean, I'm in awe, actually, of you and other mums that are doing this brilliantly, because I think your Instagram account is brilliant and the content you create is brilliant. And I think to myself, God, if I did have I shouldn't call it a proper job, but that's how I see it.
I call it a proper job.
Right. Okay, good. So if I did have a proper job, then would I then feel more excited about creating the content because there's not all this pressure? Maybe, I don't know, but I just think you do it so well, and the fact that you're working and in a very pressurised environment as well with what you do, I just think I'm in awe, and I feel I haven't got a right to moan or be tired, or
everyone has a right to moan
as well. So I think you're amazing, and all mums that do this and proper jobs and look after the kids. I'm just like, wow.
Oh, thank you. But everyone has a right to their own struggles. They are valid, whatever you do, like whether you're a stay-at-home mum right through to a full-time working mum. So being a mum, whatever way you are, is tough, and that's all I'll say about that. But before we go, we promised to do some rank bank reactions. Sorry, Darren.
So sorry.
Just saying sorry to my producer, because I'm going to put a gag warning up front here, okay?
Okay, all right. Listen, let me just tell you something. I've had a gag-worthy week.
Oh.
So there's two things that happened. So one, a kid in Barney's class licked bird poo off of his licked bird poo off of his coat.
Why? Did he know it was bird poo?
I don't know. And then another kid. When a kid is sick at school, they put this powder on to soak it up.
Oh yeah, we do it at work as well. Right,
okay. Well, nobody had cleared it up from the day before, so this kid thought it was ice, and he ate it.
Surely that's like hospital trip worthy, because it's like crystal, jelly stuff.
Oh my God, honestly, that made me gag so much. And then it led to me and Molly yesterday going on a dog walk, and I was telling her about how my mate, the one who I was in the band with, when we used to walk our dogs, dog poo bags, you know how thin the plastic is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing worse than picking up a dog poo. It's just, and then you just have to do it. If you love your dog and you want to keep the place clean, you got to do it. And plus, if you've ever had a pram and gone over dog poo and had to clean it out with a toothpick or a Q-tip, you never want any mum to go through that. So yeah. Anyway, we were out, and I was saying how my friend used to do this thing where you'd be walking and talking, and all of a sudden he would just swing the bag of dog poo in your face, and it would literally hit your face, and you'd feel the warmth. It was the worst thing because it's so thin. I know. So then we were talking, and we go, imagine if it's split open, and then it goes to what would you rather? We started a whole what would you rather. So I spent the last yesterday a good hour gagging. Yeah. So I've been in training. Ready for this moment. So go, hit me.
Okay, well there's some brutal ones in here, so let's do it. I've chosen a rubbish day to do a story reading thing since I've got no voice, but let's do it. So, not exactly a motherhood story, but it's a good one, and even I am proud of myself, which is weird when you read what I'm writing. The father of my first child cheated on me when I was 6 months pregnant. Ugh, dog. I'd been cheated on before, and I promised myself that if it ever happened again, I would seek revenge rather than immediately flip out. Thankfully, I'm in a happy relationship with the father of my eldest 2 daughters now, and can look back and laugh at his stupidity and my excellency. I love her already. So I found out when he was supposedly on a work training weekend. Turns out he was shagging a woman up north, and she found out about me and screenshotted their conversation. I didn't let on that I knew. Instead, I wanted to seek revenge. I went to scrub my arse with his toothbrush, but I realised that during our relationship, he'd already chowed down on that area. Oh. We had a gorgeous cockapoo named Toodles together. She was beautiful, but my God, did her ass stink. What better way to clean it, I thought. So I proceeded to clean it with his toothbrush, smiling the whole time. This was just one of the things I did, but I thought you needed to hear this one. Yes, he came back, and yes, I let him use it before throwing him, his stuff, and his dog shit covered toothbrush out.
Oh my God.
Do you know what? Bravo. I love her.
Oh my God, she's incredible. But the thing is, I would have to have that extra cherry on the top bit of joy of seeing his face when I told him.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he came back and yes, I let him use it, but she doesn't say whether she told him. You have to tell him, otherwise it doesn't,
Imagine.
Yeah. Because otherwise he'll never know that he's brushed his teeth with dog shit.
Oh my God.
And he needs to know, just to, like, throw up himself.
That poor cockapoo getting rinsed by a toothbrush. It must have been like, what is happening? What are these humans are bad?
This human's giving me a good old clean today. Squeaky clean bumhole. Oh,
bravo. Very good. Very good.
So good. Do you know what? I'm proud of that woman. I really like her. So, I was putting my son down for a nap in his cot when he was around 1.5. Why is everything about shit in this, honestly? So, I started working, thinking he was asleep, silent as a mouse. Going to check on him, and there's shit everywhere. He'd taken his nappy off. There was poo smeared all over him, all over his cot. And then he picked it up and put it in his mouth. I threw him straight in the bath and cried. I'd have done the same.
What is it?
Oh.
What is it with kids?
I know.
Surely, do you know what's mad? There are tribes living in, the Amazon where they live up in tree houses with no walls and they're platforms, and these tiny children are like crawling around, these babies, and they have a built-in instinct to not go over the edge and die. Yeah. And yet, there are babies putting feces in their mouth. How is that evolution? That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't. I actually have a friend who ate a nugget of poo as well. Not an adult, grown friend. I mean, when she was younger, she found a nugget of her own poo on the floor and just decided to chuck it in, chow down on that poo.
No.
Gross.
No. Therapy.
Yeah, definitely. So
you can actually you can study shit at university.
Yeah, you can. You can actually also send your shit off to be studied. It's weird.
But you can actually do a course on it, and Manchester apparently was the first place to do it. It's called scatology, and you can actually the study of shit.
It should be called something better than that. I feel they could have done a much better job.
That sounds like a tune from the 90s. And also it gives a whole new take on Scatman.
Yeah, I was going to say Scatman. Skibbity-bitty-bap-bada-bum. Oh my God. Right, let's do one more. Okay. Yeah. This is truly disgusting, and I still gag when I think about it. I was on my period and had inserted a tampon. Sorry, Darren. I thought I'd put the applicator in the bin. I still to this day don't know how my little one got her hands on the applicator. Anyway, a few hours later, I looked over at my 2-year-old who had put the applicator into her IKEA kitchen cup and was pretending to drink tea from the straw that she had made from my used tampon applicator. Oh, God.
Oh, God. Do you know the worst thing about that is, in that bin was probably about another kind of like 10 applicators from where she'd been going through her period. Oh. And you know what happens there.
Yeah, but which one did the kid grab? Was it a 10-day-older?
Oh, God. Was it at the beginning of the period? Was it towards the end? Do you know what I mean? That makes a big difference.
Oh, my God. Kids are actually freaking disgusting. Like, what?
God.
Oh, that's so gross. Anyway, that is the end of our rank bank for today. I still have literally, like, look at this. It is wild how many rank stories.
That is amazing. What a great concept.
Motherhood, I feel like it's like a built-in rank bank because every day these kids just do something that are rank bank worthy.
What would be top of your rank bank?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be something shit or vomit related. Or actually sputum. I can't stand sputum. You know, like when they...
What is sputum?
That's my nursing word for gob or phlegm.
Oh, right. Really?
Yeah. I can't stand it. You know when they do like a big sneeze and a big like globule of like...
Yeah. So you weren't one of those mums to kind of suck the snot out their nose when they were baby?
No, that is... When I see videos of that, I'm like, how are you doing that? That is gross. Absolutely
that doesn't bum me out at all, actually.
Really?
It really doesn't.
No, I'd rather wipe a bum than suck snot out. I'd much rather poo. But yeah, I reckon either poo or sputum, I reckon, is my bad one. What about you?
I think I remember holding Barley up and her being sick in my mouth. I remember that happening.
I don't think I'm that bothered by vomit. I think vomit in my mouth, I'd be like, oh yeah.
Oh, nice. An aperitif. Lovely.
Yeah. It's a delicacy, don't you know?
It probably is somewhere, you know that.
But yeah, or either like maybe dog poo. We went on our, me and my husband had our first wedding anniversary in Bath, and we were just about to get back in the car and I trod in a massive dog shit. Didn't realise that I trod in it, got in the car, and I was like, what is that smell? You absolutely stink. Have you shat your pants? And I trod in dog poo and had to scrape it out of the little gaps in between my trainers. I was like, this is disgusting.
That's like the pram wheel thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's nothing worse. And you're like, don't flick on me. Don't flick on me.
Yeah.
This is the worst feeling.
So I reckon
you
dog
just went in
poo.
quick.
Yeah. But yeah, what a beautiful way to end this podcast episode. Dog shit. But yes, could you tell everyone where we can find you on the socials?
Oh God, I'm so rubbish at this. Okay, so it's at Emma_Nicolet, spelt Nicolet.
Nicolet.
And you can find me on there.
Yeah.
If I haven't given it all up and
please don't, because I love you
to go
on
and
there.
study scatology in Manchester.
Oh, well, amazing. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on a podcast and it being my podcast. Yay! And hopefully we'll get to meet again and compare titties at some point.
Yes, please. As I say, if you have some spare, I would love them.
When I get them done again, you can have the leftover implants that they take out. You can have them. They're all yours.
Thank you. You're so kind.
Right. Lots of love, darling. Speak to you soon.
Take care. Have a nice evening.
And you.
Bye.
Bye.